How's it going, everyone at Peoria Christian School? Hope you guys are enjoying everything at home. I know it's probably not the best case scenario, but obviously we got to make the most of whatever we have. But it's good to see you guys again. My name's Ben. Brought to you a worship workout not too long ago with Tanner. We had a great time during that, so thank you guys again so much for having us. But so now you get to listen to me again for a little bit. Woo! All right, so with everything going on, I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about the word scar or scars in general and what that kind of means. But I'm excited to bring you this message today and just kind of taking a look at what society views as scars and how we normally view as scars. And I don't know if you can see, I actually have a scar right here on my eyebrow from a surgery when I was 1 year old or something wrong with my eye. It's not what made me colorblind. I was already born colorblind, but we can say it made me colorblind. I don't know. So start with a fun story. When I was I think it was my sophomore year of high school. It was during the winter, so we had a ton of snow, and me and a couple buddies went to a park nearby my house, and we were sledding down this hill, and, normally I would not, no matter how old I am, be embarrassed about me going sledding, because there's always a kid inside my heart, no matter how old I am, and definitely enjoy getting in a little trouble and kind of trying to make a sled a surfboard or snowboard type thing. But me and my buddy had a stupid idea of let's try wrestling down a sled down the hill. Ultimately, what happened as our brawl, we started going out, nice and slow, but as it started going faster and faster, and we're just doing like RKO type stuff or whatever, doing some big moves from either The Rock or, I don't know, I never really watched WWE, but that stuff. Just picture that on a sled going down a hill super fast, obviously, because you can't sled slow. That's just no fun. But by the end of the hill, there's kind of probably some ows and that hurt type thing, and I ended up with a black eye, and my buddy, your guys' spiritual life director of the high school, Justin, ended up with a bloody nose. So at one point, I think I either punched him in the nose, and his nose started bleeding, and somehow he got me in the eye. And mind you, it was nothing against each other. It was just for the fun of it. We weren't mad at each other at all. It was just kind of one of those dumb, embarrassing things that you do when you're younger and even when you're older. But what was weird about it, or funny about it, that kind of brings us to scars is, so Justin got off a little bit easier than I did because his bloody nose would stop in a few hours or whatever, half hour, whatever it is. And my black eye would only get worse for the next week or two. And so I go to school and I tell my friends or people that ask me, is like, hey, dude, what happened, man? That's, you obviously don't look like that every day. And I just kind of said, I was actually just trying to break in a new trick on skiing the other weekend or last weekend, and I kind of, hit my eye on the rail. And they're like, oh, no way, man, that's sweet. So, I made the story sound a lot better instead of, oh, I was just wrestling with a buddy down a hill sledding. Obviously nothing bad would happen there. But, yeah, I still think the skiing story sounds a lot better, but now you guys know the secret. So, keep that a secret. You can make fun of Justin, though. You can have that on him. I'll share a few more stories. But what we're talking about and how that reflects is because with scars, I was scared to tell everybody what actually happened, right? So I made up that story about going skiing. I was scared what it resembled or what it could make me look, what questions people asked, because obviously it's very revealing. I have a black eye. It's very noticeable. So you're going to get the question of what happened. And the thing about scars that are scary is it always reveals something. But I wanted to read a quick verse or a couple verses real quick before we kind of get into the meat of this. You guys are going to read a little bit further in this chapter, but I'm just going to keep it kind of shorter. So John 20:24 through 29 says, one of the 12 disciples, Thomas, was not with the others when Jesus came. They told him, we have seen the Lord. And this is after Christ is resurrected, right, and everything. But he replied, I won't believe it unless I see the nail wounds in his hands, put my fingers into them, and place my hand into the wound in his side. 8 days later, the disciples were together again, and the time Thomas was with them. The doors were locked, but suddenly, as before, Jesus was standing among them. Peace be with you, he said. Then he said to Thomas, put your fingers here and look at my hands. Put your hand in the wound in my side. Don't be faithless any longer. Believe. My Lord and my God, Thomas exclaimed. Then Jesus told him, you believe because you have seen me. Blessed are those who believe without seeing me. So what's crazy is it took Thomas to put his hand in Jesus's wound from the cross, right? And we'll get into that a little bit later, but I just wanted to keep that in mind. So this is kind of where I'm going off of these verses, and I also gave you guys another verse to look at too, that kind of explains what Christ's kind of point of view more on this. But so I want to get into what more of society looks at scars, and I want to set my definition of what I mean by a scar, right? So by scars, I mean where we currently stand from the tragedies we've experienced and battled through that have left their wounds on either our bodies, hearts, or our souls. So scars aren't just either something physical, they can be something on our hearts, they could be something mental, whether it's something with anxiety, depression, right? Just things that have really kind of had a toll on our heart or whatever it may be. It could be physical too, like Crohn's. When I talked to you guys at your guys' event/retreat thing about Crohn's disease. And honestly, Crohn's has left a ton of scars on me, right? Not just from surgeries, but it's made me learn a lot and have a lot of troubles and struggles throughout my life, right? Just with all the hospital visits, things I had to change with my life, the way I live, my health routines, fitness routines, the way I eat now. It left a lot of change on me, right? And how I had to deal with that. And at first, a lot of it was I didn't really think I was able to take any of this to God, right? God is immoral. He's perfect. He's not immoral. I don't know why I said that. All moral, sorry. He's all moral and he's all good, right? So why would he give a 9-year-old kid a disease? Why is that so? That doesn't make sense to me. So I looked at it as, because kind of what society looks on scars is they look at them as ugly imperfections of humanity, right? Imperfections on our body or imperfections on ourselves. So I'm like, why would God give me this imperfection? Because he is all moral, all good. He's such a gracious, loving God. Why would a 9-year-old have this? And I realized I was only half right? He's all moral, all good, all loving, all caring, right? But he didn't necessarily give me Crohn's, and it's not that I can't take it to him, because I thought Crohn's was something where I had to, quote unquote, cure or overcome myself. And that's not going too well so far. I still have it, so I'm not doing my job on that apparently. But at a younger age, and I struggle with this every now and then, right? It's hard to kind of constantly have this mindset of scars are not imperfections. And I would always think, life just threw God a curveball that he couldn't hit. And it's kind of funny because, God made life, made the world, the universe. So that logic obviously does not make sense. And for the longest time, I could just not get why I necessarily have this, because I believe in an all good God, all moral God. And yet I realized it was all my mentality and all the way I looked at scars and looked at these imperfections on my heart or on my body or whatever it is, right? I want to ask you guys, what have you battled through? What have you gone through in your life that has left its scar? Whether it's physical, whether it's not, doesn't matter. It could be on your heart, soul, your actual body, whatever kind of comes to mind with you that has really kind of left its toll on you and kind of made you take a step back in life and interrupted whatever you have going on, and kind of is something you think on the daily about, or that kind of gets in your way, right? And so I started to think maybe it is all my idea of the word scars, my definition of scars, that is wrong and that isn't right, or why I'm kind of seeing this as kind of God got thrown a curveball. because there's no cure to Crohn's. There's little known about it. So there's little I can personally do besides take the medicine the doctors prescribe me and live healthier fitness-wise and my diet-wise, right? So why did I and society in general look at scars as imperfections? We don't want others to see our scars. We get nervous. We get, laser treatment removal. People go that far to get rid of blemishes, right? Pimples, easy example, is we don't want that imperfection on our face. And I think this one's just kind of healing up now. And, it's just like, man, that little sucker's still there, and it's annoying, right? And with interviews or you're going on a date or a dance, you want those covered up. And we have all these options to do those things, which is great. But is it really, though? Why do we really care? And it doesn't really even matter because we don't really control if we have acne or if we get diagnosed with a disease, right? So even if it's not our fault, why do they have such a big impact on our life? And now I kind of want to get back to these verses that I was kind of sharing with you earlier in John chapter 20, right? Because Christ wasn't ashamed of his scars, right? And that's what kind of these verses are showing us. And the other chapter I'm having you guys read that Justin's sending to you guys too is showing us that Christ was not ashamed. But wait a minute, what the heck is going on? Because Christ was imperfect. He was, I keep saying imperfect, right? Using M before things. Anyways, Christ was perfect. He lived an all good life, all moral life. And so how does he have scars if they're imperfections or tragedies or not inherently good, right? Or such bad things? And I started wondering, okay, well, shoot, maybe they're not as bad as we think. Maybe it's not actually imperfections. Scars are not actually imperfections. Maybe there's something more. Maybe there's something I need to see, learn from them, right? And I see with Christ, because he lived an all good life, a sinless life, a perfect life. Ultimately that's why he was crucified. It's the Lamb who was slain. And he's even known as the Lamb who was slain. Man. And yet he was perfect. He lived a perfect life. It blows my mind with our look on scars, and yet we forget what Christ did. And he obtained his fair amount of scars, right? On his hands, his body, on his side, and his ankles. So his wrists and ankles, technically. But the thing is, Christ doesn't look at these as imperfections. He looks at them as the total opposite. Because the things we have to go through make up who we are, right? And if Christ did not obtain those scars, we would not have salvation. That's crazy, right? If he did not do what he did, we would not have salvation. And so what I'm trying to say is his scars stand for so much more than what we think at first. They stand for love. They stand for salvation. They stand for so much more. They stand for the chance that we can be reunited with our Father in heaven. They stand for afterlife, right? So we do not need to fix ourselves before or cover up our scars before we come to Christ or God. You can come as you are. Don't be afraid of your scars. You need to embrace them because they're a part of you. And I had to embrace that Crohn's was a part of me. I had to learn from it and see what it was trying to teach me. And I want to ask your guys' opinion for yourselves, right? So go back to when I asked what your scars stand for, or what scars you've had in your past, right? That's kind of infecting you right now, or giving you a hard time, whether it's kind of with the virus stuff of self-isolation things, or not being able to see your friends, or kind of the depression or anxiety that takes place because of all this, what's going on, or depression, anxiety in general. Maybe it's loss in the family or some family issues, whatever it is, right? What do your scars stand for? What does that experience stand for? What have you learned from that experience? See, the thing is, if we just look at it on the surface, they may not stand for what we think. It just takes a little bit of a different shift in perspective. You see, my scars from Crohn's, whether it's on my body or what it's done for me in my heart or my soul or my mind. See, they stand for strength, courage, and the passion that God instilled within me. The passion for me to be empowered to speak about my hardships, to help others understand that it's not necessarily a bad thing, that their weakness, that the thing they think is their weakness is actually an unfound strength, an unseen strength yet. They are a reminder to me to show that God will be there no matter what trial you face. And it's not just a reminder to me, but it's a reminder to everyone. That they help me see, that my scars help me see and be a beacon to others that your weakness is actually part of your strength. It's an unfound strength, right? And what really blew my mind to all this is if you think about it and you start applying this to yourselves in your life and then ask yourself, wait a minute, shoot, this story in the Bible is after Christ died. He's resurrected. He's going to heaven. And yet he has these scars on his body. He's in his spiritual body. And Thomas and John and these disciples, they're seeing him in his spiritual body. And he still has the holes on his ankles, his wrists, and his side. What? He's bringing his scars to heaven? So it's okay to come as who you are. Remember, Christ brought his scars into heaven. So don't be ashamed of yours. Embrace them and learn from them and see what you can learn through God from your disadvantages, from your tragedies, from your scars, because it is doable. I've done it, and granted, it's hard to keep going and it's hard to necessarily keep having this mindset, but all you got to do is read chapter John, these verses again, and remind yourselves that Christ brought his scars into heaven. Man, that is powerful. I want you guys to reflect on that. Reach out to Justin if you have any questions for me. But again, it's always a pleasure talking to you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Follow us on our Instagram stuff for Worship Workout if you want any fitness tips, workout tips, nutrition stuff. We got it. We can help you guys. We love what you're doing there. Keep fighting. You guys can do it. Seniors, people in sports, you guys got it. It's okay. I know this is hard, not being able to do your sports or being able to graduate, walking across the stage, but you're still going to graduate. So look and be thankful for what you have around you at the moment. I know it's not easy, but this time will come and God will be with you of how to kind of reconcile this. And hopefully PCS has something beautiful planned for you seniors. But yeah, God bless. Have a good day. Have fun in quarantine. Make the best of it. You guys got this. You guys are awesome.